I'm telling you this because I need someone to know what really happened that night, what I saw, what's still out there. My hands are shaking as I write this. The scars on my chest haven't healed right, and every time I close my eyes, I see those yellow eyes staring back at me through the darkness. I'm Robert Patterson, 32 years old, and I used to work as a cargo handler at Billings Logan International Airport in Montana. Used to. I can't go back there now. I can't go back to any airport after what happened at lurked 41 on February 14th. Let me start from the beginning, though my therapist says I should stop reliving it. But you need to understand, this wasn't some story. This was real. I'd been working the graveyard shift for 3 years. Good pay, quiet nights, and I liked being alone with my thoughts. The cargo section of the airport was always empty after midnight. Just me and occasionally Derek, the security guard who'd do his rounds every couple of hours. That night, Derek called in sick. I was completely alone. February in Montana is brutal. That night, the temperature had dropped to negative 15 degrees, and a heavy snowstorm was rolling in from the Rockies. The wind howled through the cargo bay doors, and I remember thinking I should close the main hangar door, but we had a late shipment coming in, so I left it partially open. I was doing inventory checks in Bay 3 when I first heard it. Not the wind, something else. A sound that made every hair on my neck stand up. It was a low, guttural breathing, like something massive was struggling to get air into its lungs. I stopped mid-count, clipboard in hand, and listened. The hangar was dimly lit by the overhead fluorescence, casting long shadows between the cargo containers. I called out, thinking maybe Derek had come in after all. No response. Just that breathing, getting closer. "Hello?" I called again, my voice echoing off the metal walls. The breathing stopped. I should have left right then. I should have run to my truck and driven away. But I didn't. I'm not sure if it was stupidity or curiosity, but I walked toward where I'd heard the sound, past the stack of cargo containers marked for Seattle. That's when I smelled it. God, that smell. It was like rotting meat mixed with wet dog and something else. Something ancient and wrong. The odor was so strong it made my eyes water. I rounded the corner of a container and saw the cargo door, the one that led directly outside to the tarmac. It was open. Not the main hangar door I'd left cracked, but the side cargo door that should have been locked. And in the snow just outside, I saw tracks. They weren't human. They weren't dog prints either, though they had that basic canine shape. These were massive, easily twice the size of any wolf print I'd seen in nature documentaries. The claws had dug deep gouges into the frozen ground, and the tracks led directly into the hangar, into where I was standing. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst. I pulled out my phone to call security, and that's when the lights went out. Not just dimmed, completely out. The emergency lights should have kicked in, but nothing. Just absolute darkness and the sound of the storm outside. Then I heard it move. It was big, whatever it was. I could hear its claws scraping against the concrete floor. Could hear that labored breathing again. Closer now. So much closer. I fumbled with my phone, trying to turn on the flashlight. And when I finally got it on, I wished to God I hadn't. It was standing 15 feet away from me. I can't describe it properly because my brain couldn't process what I was seeing. It was tall, maybe 7 feet, standing on 2 legs but hunched forward like it could drop to all 4s at any second. Its body was covered in matted black fur that looked wet and diseased. The arms were too long, hanging down past where knees should be, ending in hands that were a horrible mix of human and wolf, with claws as long as my fingers. But the face, Jesus Christ, the face, it was a wolf's skull stretched over something that wanted to be human. The snout was elongated and filled with teeth that didn't fit right in the mouth, some pointing inward, others jutting out at odd angles. Saliva dripped from its jaws in thick ropes. But the eyes, those yellow eyes, they weren't animal eyes. There was something intelligent behind them, something that knew exactly what it was doing. It was looking right at me. I don't remember dropping my phone. I don't remember screaming. The next thing I knew, I was running, sprinting through the dark hangar, my phone's light spinning on the ground behind me, casting crazy shadows across the walls. I could hear it chasing me, the sound of those claws on concrete, the heavy thudding of its footfalls, and worst of all, a sound that came from its throat. Something between a growl and what I can only describe as laughter. It was playing with me. I made it to the stairwell that led up to the office level. I grabbed the door handle and yanked, and thank God it was unlocked. I threw myself inside and slammed the door shut, engaging the lock. I pressed my back against it, gasping for air, my legs shaking so badly I could barely stand. The creature hit the door 3 seconds later. The entire frame shook. I heard the metal groan under the impact. Then another hit, and another. The door was industrial steel, meant to withstand cargo equipment, but I could see it beginning to bend inward with each strike. I ran up the stairs, my work boots slipping on the steps. The office level was just as dark as the hangar below. I could hear the door give way behind me, heard that thing enter the stairwell. Its breathing echoed up toward me, and I swear I heard it sniffing, tracking my scent. The offices were laid out in a maze of cubicles and conference rooms. I knew them well from daytime meetings, but in the dark, everything looked different. I moved as quietly as I could, trying to control my breathing, trying not to make a sound. I could hear it on the stairs, slow, deliberate steps. It wasn't in a hurry. It knew I had nowhere to go. I made it to the manager's office and locked myself inside. The room had a large window that overlooked the cargo bay, and through it, I could see my phone's light still spinning on the floor below, illuminating nothing. I pulled out my cell phone again, hands shaking so badly I could barely dial 911. 911, what's your emergency? I'm at Billings Logan Airport, cargo section. There's something here. Something attacked me. I need help. The words tumbled out of me in a rush. Sir, can you calm down and tell me what's happening? There's something in the building with me. It's not human. It broke through the door. Please send someone. Sir, are you injured? No, but please, you have to. The office door exploded inward. I dropped the phone. The creature filled the doorway, too big for the frame, having to duck its head to fit through. In the faint glow from my phone screen on the desk, I could see it clearly for the first time. Its black fur was matted with something dark, maybe old dried matter. The muscles beneath its skin moved wrong, like there were too many of them, or they were in the wrong places. Its chest heaved with each breath, and I could see ribs pressing against the skin, making it look starved and desperate. When it opened its mouth, I saw that its teeth were stained, and its tongue was too long, black and writhing like a separate creature. The smell of rot intensified, making me gag. It took a step toward me. I grabbed the desk chair and threw it. The creature batted it aside like it was made of paper. I backed up against the window, nowhere left to run. This was it. This was how I was going to torn apart by something that shouldn't exist. The creature lunged. I don't know how I moved fast enough, but I dove to the side. Its claws raked across my chest, tearing through my jacket and shirt like they were tissue paper. The pain was immediate and blinding, like being branded with hot iron. I felt the warmth of my own blood soaking into my clothes. I rolled across the floor, and my hand found something. A letter opener from the desk. It was maybe 6 inches long, barely a weapon, but it was all I had. The creature turned toward me, and for the first time, it made a sound that wasn't a growl. It was almost a word, a broken attempt at human speech that came out as a wet, choking noise. It was trying to communicate with me, and that was somehow more terrifying than if it had just been a mindless beast. It approached slowly, savoring the moment. I could see my reflection in those yellow eyes. I looked pathetic, bleeding and terrified, clutching a letter opener like it could save me. When it was close enough, I struck. I drove the letter opener up into its chest with every ounce of strength I had left. The blade sank in, and the creature's howl of pain was deafening in the small office. It stumbled back, clawing at the letter opener, and I used that moment to run. I burst through the destroyed doorway and ran back toward the stairs. Behind me, I could hear it recovering, could hear its rage in the sounds it was making. I took the stairs, 3 at a time, half falling down them, and hit the hangar floor running. The cargo bay was still dark except for my phone's light. I ran toward it, toward the open cargo door and the snow beyond. If I could make it outside, if I could make it to my truck in the employee lot, maybe I had a chance. I grabbed my phone from the floor without stopping and burst out into the storm. The cold hit me like a physical force. The snow was coming down so hard I could barely see 10 feet ahead. I ran toward where I knew the parking lot was, my chest screaming in pain, my blood leaving a dark trail in the fresh snow. I could hear it behind me bursting through the cargo door. I didn't look back. I couldn't look back. My truck was there, covered in snow. I fumbled for my keys, dropped them in the snow, found them again. My hands were numb from cold and shaking from adrenaline. I could hear it getting closer, could hear its heavy breathing even over the wind. I got the door open and threw myself inside, hitting the lock button. I jammed the key into the ignition and the engine roared to life. In my rearview mirror, I saw it emerge from the storm, illuminated by my taillights. It stood there in the parking lot watching me, not chasing anymore, just watching as I threw the truck into reverse and peeled out of the lot. I drove to the hospital, bleeding and incoherent. They treated my wounds, 5 deep gashes across my chest that required over 50 stitches. I told them I was attacked by a wild animal. What else could I say? The police investigated. They found the destroyed doors, found my blood trail, found the tracks in the snow. But by morning, the storm had covered everything. The official report said it was probably a bear that had wandered into the cargo area. They recommended better security measures. I tried to go back to work a week later. I made it as far as the parking lot before I had a panic attack, so severe I blacked out. I haven't been back since. But here's the thing that keeps me up at night. The thing that makes me check every lock 3 times and sleep with my lights on. 3 days ago, I got a package in the mail. No return address. Inside was a single item, my letter opener. The one I'd driven into that creature's chest. It was cleaned, polished, and at the bottom of the box was a note written in handwriting that looked almost human, but the letters were formed wrong. Like something was trying to remember how humans write. It said, "Found this, thought you might want it back. See you soon, Robert." It knows where I live. It knows my name. And whatever I wounded that night in the cargo bay at Billings Airport, it's not dead. It's out there and it remembers me. I'm writing this as a record in case something happens to me. If you're reading this and you work nights anywhere remote, anywhere you might be alone, be careful. Lock your doors. Don't investigate strange sounds. And if you ever smell, that rotting meat and wet dog smell, run. Don't look back. Don't try to fight it. Just run. Because what I learned that night at year 041 in that cargo bay is that there are things in this world that shouldn't exist, but they do. They're real. They're hunting. And they're so much worse than any story could ever prepare you for. The scars on my chest ache as I write this. Outside my window, I can hear something moving in the darkness. I tell myself it's just the wind, just a stray dog, just my imagination. But I know better. I know it's coming back. And this time, I don't think I'll survive.